Hello everybody, Mr. Akins here and welcome to What's on the Comic Rack. In this video I'm going to talk about the comics I read last week, and those comics would be the Man of Steel number 1 through 6, written and drawn by John Byrne. Now Superman is my favorite DC character. Don't get me wrong, I love me some Batman, I love me some Wonder Woman, I love me some Green Lantern, I love me some Flash. But Superman is my favorite. This video, like all my What Did You Read Last Week videos, is inspired by Ricky from All Sorts of Words. A link to his channel is in the description below. After I read these comics, I started down a spiral called a rabbit hole of all kinds of questions that did not actually relate to the comic books. Like, why do I love John Byrne's work so much? Why do I like Superman? How can an alien from a completely different planet be relatable in any way, shape, or form? Why do some people feel that Superman is an extremely difficult character to write, or that he's boring? Will reading the book hold up now, or will my nostalgic love for the series somehow be lessened? Well, it wasn't, but it did remind me of a film directed by Richard Donner and starring Christopher Reeve called Superman, and how much that film, I feel, inspired this series. And then I had to refocus on the comics themselves. So, issue number 1. Issue number 1 reintroduces Superman. This issue retells the origin of Superman, rocketed from a dying planet to Earth, where under our yellow sun he would slowly develop the powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. It retells how he was found by the Kents, who adopted him and raised him in a loving, caring environment on a farm in Kansas. Ma and Pa Kent taught their son to never use his abilities to make himself better than other people, or to make other people feel useless, but to give them hope. This issue contains his first public appearance, his first meeting with Lois Lane, and his mom making his costume. Issue 2 reintroduces Lois Lane and focuses on the relationship between Lois Lane, Clark Kent, and Superman, and hints at a relationship between Lois and Lex Luthor. Like the 1978 Superman movie, this comic shows Superman fighting everyday crime in the city of Metropolis, and Lois trying to get the story of the century, which is Superman. Lois even fakes being a damsel in distress in order to be saved by Superman, who flies her back to her apartment, where the comic mirrors the Superman movie again, where Lois interviews Superman at her apartment. But it's not Lois that gets the story of the century, but Clark Kent, and as a result, a job at the Daily Planet. Issue 3 reintroduces the relationship between Batman and Superman. It tells a tale of Superman and Batman's first meeting post-crisis on Infinite Earths. Superman is in Gotham to bring the Batman to justice, but they end up teaming up to stop the villain of the week, Magpie. Don't remember seeing Magpie in any other comic after this one, but I know she's in a Batman comic that is a tie-in to the Legends DC event. In this post-crisis world, Batman and Superman are not friends, but this encounter does create a mutual respect between the two characters, which is the basis of any future friendship. Issue 4 reintroduces Lex Luthor. This post-crisis Luthor is no longer the mad scientist, but a power-hungry billionaire who resents being overshadowed by Superman in Metropolis. Until Superman arrived, Lex Luthor was the most powerful man in Metropolis. This new Luthor uses bribery, minions, plausible deniability, and legal trickery to hound, test, and frustrate Superman. Luthor knows he can't directly confront this godlike being, so he uses any means necessary to frustrate Superman. This comic sets the tone for this new post-crisis Luthor, but in my opinion, this Luthor is directly inspired by the Luthor from the 1978 Superman movie. Issue 5 reintroduces Bizarro. This issue features more of Luthor's maniacal plots. This time Luthor is attempting to clone Superman, and his unsuccessful attempt becomes the first post-crisis Bizarro. Up until this point, post-crisis Superman has not dealt with a single superpower opponent, and I believe Superman throws his first punch in this comic, a definite departure from the 1978 Superman movie. We get to see more interaction between Lois and Clark at the Daily Planet, and experience a John Byrne trope many people hate: subplots. I think that people really hate subplots that don't get resolved. when reading a John Byrne comic for the first time, some people will think, why is this scene even in here? But when I read it, I make a mental note saying this is going to be important later. There were a lot of moments like this in this comic, and when or if you read this issue, I think you'll know what I mean. Issue 6 is a return to Smallville and the conclusion of Man of Steel. Now, these books are not supposed to define Superman. These books are meant to reintroduce many Superman characters for the post-crisis DC, not define them. You already know who Superman is. Love, hate, respect, dismiss Superman. This series is not going to change anyone's opinion about Superman. You already have those. In my opinion, this series was supposed to take the ideas and concepts the public already knew from the 1978 Superman movie and make them comic book canon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Do you like Superman? Why do some people consider Superman boring or an unrelatable character? Put those comments down below, and we'll see you next time around the comic rack.